YouTube? Welcome back to Guitar Vocalist. The channel is all about singing and playing guitar at the same time and just being a confident, self-reliant musician. So if you're new here, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. It's a great easy way to support the content, support what I'm doing, and help me put out more content. Today we're going to be talking about rhythm guitar, and this is something which a lot of people want to start with lead guitar. I think a lot of people get into guitar with the idea of soloing and doing all these really cool licks, you know, and just standard issue blues stuff, right? So stuff like that, right? I think that's what sounds really cool and appealing to a lot of people. And there's nothing wrong with that, but there's also rhythm, right? And every song has rhythm. I would argue rhythm is more important because nobody wants to sit there and just hear a guitarist noodling up and down on a solo all day. They want to hear a song. They want to hear a performance, right? And the very basis, at the very core of music is rhythm. And especially for people that are interested in singing and playing at the same time and just being singer-songwriters, rhythm is much, much more important than lead. Because if you're a guitar vocalist, your voice is the lead and your guitar is the rhythm. So I'm going to just sort of talk about 3 techniques that are kind of needed for rhythm, and you can just sort of learn how to do those. And it's a great idea to grab a metronome or some kind of a click track or something, or a drum track where you have it to play to, so you're sure you're playing on rhythm. So one of the first most basic types of rhythm, and in my opinion the first place anybody should start, is something that I call right hand tempo or pendulum technique. I don't really know what this is called, but it's a basic guitar technique. Write in the comments if you know the name of this actual technique. I just call it right hand tempo. Basically this technique is, the idea is, we've talked about this on the channel before, but you have to keep your right hand, and of course if you're a lefty then your left hand, your picking hand, strumming hand, you have to keep in a constant pendulum and keep tempo with it. So if I'm playing some kind of a regular chord pattern, you notice on my hand it's just going, right? I'm talking, it's going, things are happening. I could just switch anything up. It doesn't matter what the rhythm is, I could change it up. I could change it to anything I want, and it will always be this. I could speed it up really easily too, because all I have to do is go quicker. It doesn't matter. It just gives me ultimate flexibility, and I know I'm always going to be to the tempo of the song because I'm literally counting with my pendulum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I know that it's going to be exactly on the tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can plug and play any beat I need for a rhythm. It doesn't matter what I'm doing, my right hand does the same exact thing. And you could do this with less strings as well, just 2 for example, for a 2-string chord. You might have to angle a bit differently depending on where you're doing it, right? So doesn't matter where you're doing it, but the concept remains the same. What's really important is this makes it so easy to sing while playing guitar. That's one of the biggest pluses to this technique, because you're always doing the same thing with your right hand. You just have to memorize the chords you're going to be playing, and you could just sing and play guitar like that, only using chords pretty much for your whole career if you wanted to, honestly. I mean, you don't need to do anything more than that. You could convert any song ever into just its basic chords, strum them to some kind of pattern you like, and sing and play with it. And you could essentially do any pattern like that very easily, because it doesn't require as much splitting yourself into 2 people. It doesn't require as much splitting yourself up into 2 different parts. It's a lot less mental work. A lot of guitarists I know, they just go and they just pick stuff out like this. You see how my hand is just picking out the notes? Learn to not do that. Learn to always play with a pendulum like that. It's the most important technique. You could probably shut off the video right now and you'll have gotten 80% of it, okay? But please don't. Keep watching because I have 2 more. Alright, the next one is palm muting, and this is basically just a slightly different thing. It requires alternate picking sometimes, or sometimes you just do downstrokes, for example. An example is a song like Enter Sandman by Metallica. So it just this part, right? So this whole technique, if you're doing it with palm mute, you don't have to palm mute, by the way. You could just play it like how punk people do it. You could also just not palm mute it. You could just strum really hard. But the idea of this is that you're not playing an open chord thing like this. You're playing like some kind of a driving rhythm. And then if you're playing metal, you might be doing... Right, you're doing stuff like that. So that requires some alternate picking skill and stuff like that. Stuff that's constant and ongoing. And this technique is also pretty easy to follow to a metronome because every downstroke is probably a beat in your metronome, or maybe every other downstroke, depending on how fast you're going. So there's that technique as well. And then the third technique is just playing chords but picking out individual strings to a click, basically. So right, so you're just picking out the notes, and just how your click would be going, each pick would go with your click, or every other click, whatever makes sense in terms of the tempo you're playing. Those are the three techniques, but where it really starts to shine is where you actually combine them together, right? So, for example, you could do something like this, the right hand tempo pendulum thing. Right, so here I'm combining the right hand tempo and the alternate picking kind of metal style driving downstroke driven technique. And then you could also combine stuff like single picking. Right, so you're combining here the single string picking the chords one by one with the right hand tempo pendulum open chord playing. So the idea there is that you can combine all of these, and you always should follow the metronome as you're doing it. And that's how you play rhythm guitar. So break it down. Think about your next song that you're going to try and play, and think about, okay, which of these three elements is it? And then transition in between those three elements seamlessly. Go ahead and let me know if there's something you want to zoom in on more, or if there's something unclear down in the comments below. And be sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more content like this. And until next time, guys.